How to be assertive without being aggressive or offending the other person. In this video, I'm going to look at a few of the leadership traits that you need in order to successfully answer this question. And then I'm going to apply those traits into a possible work scenario. Let's get started. The leadership traits that I'm going to be referring to in this video, I've taken from my first-time leadership research. So if you want to be able to follow along, make sure you click the link in the description below and get a copy. Imagine you're having a conversation with someone. This person might be a team member or it could be a peer. And they're very confident about the explanation involving a situation at hand. And as you listen on, you realize, wait a minute, they're not exactly right. And then you start to ask yourself, how can I be assertive with this person and get a more accurate point of view across to them without offending them or being aggressive? First of all, I want to say this, that there is no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to being assertive with someone. Because there's one thing that you can't control, which is you're not able to control how the other person is going to react or respond to you being assertive. What I can say though is that what you can control is how you're saying that message. Your intention really matters. Ever heard of that phrase? It's not what you say, but how you say it. If you're going into that conversation and you're being assertive with the whole idea of embarrassing or attacking the other person, then that's going to show up in your words, actions, and decisions. Make sure that when you see a need to be assertive, that you are there with the intention of helping the other person improve. This increases the likelihood that the other person is going to eventually realize that your assertiveness is more about helping them. In addition to being assertive and having the right intention, there are also a number of other considerations that you need to keep in mind. What aspects of the other person's understanding or perspective is not aligned with what has been accepted or agreed upon? Only focus on that. Is the perspective that you are about to offer backed by facts and figures? Or is it something that has been agreed upon by the team or by the organization? How did they come to that conclusion or that understanding in the first place? This is an excellent opportunity for you to listen and ask insightful questions and understand where are they coming from. Use this opportunity not to blame or find fault with the other person, but to help them understand that with their current level of understanding or thinking, what sort of consequences or outcomes could that lead to? I want to end off this trait by saying this, that as leaders, very often we're caught in between this need to be assertive and our own concern about offending others or being too aggressive. I think it's important for us to keep in mind that as leaders, we are called upon to speak the truth. And when we do that with the intention of helping others, speaking the truth is very often needed to help them grow. Every leader has, to some degree, a desire to be liked by those who follow them. This desire becomes a problem when it prevents the leader from being assertive or speaking the truth when needed. You see, when you focus too much on trying to be liked by everyone or being likable, then it stops you from doing what you have to do, which is be assertive and to tell the truth and to help people grow. Sometimes when you do that, you might actually risk offending the other person because, quite honestly, people may not necessarily want to hear what you have to say. But that's something that you have to do in order to help people grow. The important thing for you to realize is that as a leader, you cannot please everyone. And one of your jobs is to ensure that people are growing and developing. So when you do need to be assertive, you have to be assertive. And as long as your intention is to help the other person grow, eventually, in most cases, the other person will realize that and will turn around and actually thank you for being assertive. When you're having a conversation with the other person to understand where they're coming from, one other thing that you need to keep in mind is there a lack of development going on? Maybe the other person has their current understanding or perspective because of the lack of tools in the workplace, or perhaps there are some restrictions in their area of work that you're currently unaware of. And so when you are trying to find out, you may need to consider if some level of development is needed in order to bring this person to the level of understanding or to the perspective that they should be at. Sometimes leaders feel that the only way for them to get their point across is to be assertive or forceful. I want to give you a different perspective, which is you don't really need to do that. Many a times, the best way for you to be assertive is not the direct approach, but the indirect approach, which is to listen to the point of view of the other person and to ask insightful questions. When you try to be assertive, you come across as trying to control. And honestly, not many people would enjoy being controlled. However, people are happy, in most cases, to be influenced. And so you asking insightful questions and listening to what they have to say gives you the opportunity to understand where they're coming from and where you need to bring them to. Here are some factors that you need to consider when you are listening and asking insightful questions. First, make sure you acknowledge their point of view. Second, ensure that there's agreement on what needs to be done. Now, sometimes even after the conversation, there may still be disagreement on what needs to be done. However, action needs to take place. So for now, get agreement on the tasks that needs to be done, on the specific actions that need to be carried out, and leave the possibility of further discussions later on. Stay calm and respect the points of view that the other person is sharing, and respect your own point as well. The conversation is really about listening, asking insightful questions, sticking to facts and figures, and from there, let the ideas or the actions and the results that come from it speak for itself. The whole point of listening and asking insightful questions is to be able to show the other person the difference between their current perspective or understanding and the alternative that you are trying to offer. And through this process of listening, asking insightful questions, listening insightful questions, you want to be able to allow the other person to accept that there are discrepancies, and if a certain result is meant to be achieved, then they need to gradually realize that the discrepancies in their understanding and perspective is not going to give them the results that they want. And so they then need to take action in order to get there. When you're trying to be assertive and you're having that conversation, many a times you need to exercise your emotional intelligence. You need to make a judgment because every conversation is going to be different. And one essential element of the judgment is empathy. Empathy is feeling how the other person is feeling and understanding that. You need to ask yourself, if I'm trying to be assertive with this person, how would that person feel? And that's why your intention is really important. Because if your intention is to go in and help the other person, then I'm sure if the roles were reversed, you would welcome that help. If you've gotten value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button. It tells YouTube that you've enjoyed the video so other people can see it as well. And if you have yet to support our channel by subscribing to us, hit the subscribe button. I could really use your support to help the channel grow. And finally, what do you think about this topic? Do share your comments below.